Hello everyone, and welcome to a new Presearing video. Recently, out of nowhere, 2 weeks dropped a pretty big update to Guild Wars introducing the Reforged Mode, among other changes. And I made a video and went through all the changes added with the update, but one thing I couldn't properly explore was the Northlands changes in Reforged Mode, because you need to create a new character to enable Reforged Mode, and it's pretty hard to explore Northlands at level 1. So, I made a new warrior, enabled Reforged Mode, didn't enable the Doom's Covenant because I'm a big baby, and began leveling so that today I can showcase the 3 new types of enemies, compare the monster density in regular and Reforged Northlands, and try out one of the strongest char farming builds in Presearing. I hope you'll enjoy. Welcome, welcome! We have a lot of cool, nerdy stuff to test today, but before I go and do that, I want to finish building this character real quick. It's just gonna be a farming alt, so I only need level 19, and I'm already at the tail end of level 15, so it shouldn't take long. Here's level 16, the slowest level until level 20, and that means it's time to do all of the Presearing quests now. I teleported out of Catacombs and forgot to escort Duke Gaban to safety. If you want to speedrun LDOA, there are optimal routes to do quests the fastest way, and you can multi-quest some of them, etc. But I make a new high-level character so infrequently, and I do these quests maybe once a year, so I just go to the Guild Wars wiki and look up a list of all Presearing quests and then do them one by one. It's not efficient, but I get to enjoy them at my own pace, and I'm sure I won't miss any of them by mistake. Here's level 17, and from now on, I'll get the highest armor bonus from Vanguard Initiate, which is 70 for a warrior. I made sure to complete all of the profession quests before accepting a secondary, just so I don't miss out on all of the experience, and we are here at Elementalist Azure because the secondary profession and the build I will be testing in this video is a warrior elementalist. Just let me get to level 19 first and I'll explain the concept. Oh, and the Vanguard quest for today is Farmer Hamnet, so level 19 will take no time at all. Level 18? No special milestones this time, but we do get some sweet attribute points. And here is level 19, which means that the leveling is done. Since this is just going to be a farming alt, I'm stopping the leveling here because level 19 is the highest level I can get while still being able to use the Fire Imp. So now, with level 19, I'm ready to take on Char with my character's full potential, and I think it's high time we do some Reforged Northlands testing. In the meantime, I'll do a few clears and get a feeling for the Warrior Elementalist gameplay, and I'll gather my thoughts and talk about the build at the end. I think this course of action makes the most sense. So the first thing you're gonna notice if you enter the Northlands on a Reforged character is the new monsters. We have 3 new types of monsters. They are only present in the Reforged Northlands. If you go to Northlands on a regular character, they just won't be there. And they are Groll Fighters, Groll Crones, and Iron Hearts. Groll Crones are level 6, and they usually just attack with their wand, but if you use an enchantment, they will cast Chillblains to break it and apply poison to themselves, which they will then transfer to you by using a Plague Signet, which is a very cool combo. Sadly, you most likely won't see it too much, since at level 6 they will die pretty quickly, but if you're a low level, they can be surprisingly deadly, especially for sword warriors, as Plague Signet will also transfer the bleeding and deep wound, and there is no way to remove conditions in pre. Groll Fighters are also level 6, they use Hammer Bash to knock you down, and if you have a condition, for example poison from the Groll Crones, they also use Victory is Mine to heal themselves. Both of the new Groll also drop their armors, which are completely new items in Presearing. Groll Fighters drop Groll Gear, and Groll Crones drop Groll Necromancer Gear. Those new armors can reportedly contain runes and insignia, although I haven't dropped one myself yet, and since they are new items in Presearing, we have to see if they contain any interesting rare materials. In general, to get rare materials from an item, you need to salvage it using an Expert, Superior, or Char salvage kit, so for us in Presearing, the only available options are the Char kits. Rare materials don't serve any purpose in Presearing, you can't craft anything with them, but because they are so expensive to salvage, they make for an interesting item to collect. At the moment, there is 7 different rare materials you can get from items in Presearing: the bolts of linen, bolts of silk, leather squares, fur squares, rolls of parchment, steel ingots, and lumps of charcoal, and I got none of them from the 20 new Groll armors, so either I got really unlucky, or they can only be salvaged into common materials in Presearing, but most likely I just got unlucky. The new armors aren't new items in the game, they already dropped from the Groll in post, they are just new for us in Presearing, so the Guild Wars wiki has the rare salvage data for them, and both the Groll gear and Groll Necromancer gear salvage into materials that are already obtainable in Presearing, but I had a few char kits laying around and I figured it would be cool to test it out. Shame I didn't get any rare material as I'm collecting those, but what can you do? So that's it for the Groll, and our third new monster is a stronger variant of the Oak cards, the Ironheart. They cast Retribution and Balthazar's Aura to deal damage, and if they're affected by any health degen, they will cast Healing Breeze. Most importantly though, they are level 8, which means they can drop purples! So for the first time, well, ever, apart from a few hours in March of 2011, we can get purples in Presearing from something that isn't a char! Truly, an end of an era. On top of all the new enemies, we also got additional spawns of the old ones, which means there's quite a few more monsters in Reforged Northlands than in the regular version, and in general, when it comes to farming, more mobs is almost always better, so I wanted to see exactly how many more monsters there are in the new Northlands. So, I did a full clear of the zone, Den of Evil style, killing every monster until the Northlands were completely cleansed. First on my ranger, and then on my Reforged Mode warrior, and I counted every single enemy, and here are the results. In the regular Northlands, there were 12 Grolls, 21 Oak Hearts, and 68 Char, including the bosses. And in the Reforged Northlands, I found 46 Grolls, 32 Oak Hearts, that also includes Iron Hearts, and 92 Char. Keep in mind that those results might slightly vary from run to run because some monster spawns aren't static, like Oak Hearts for example sometimes spawn alone and sometimes spawn with a friend, but I feel like both of my runs were pretty average without any outliers, and wow, well, the numbers speak for themselves, don't they? There's a lot more monsters in the Reforged Northlands. If you plan to make a farming alt like I just did, there is pretty much no reason to make one without the Reforged mode enabled at this point. Getting Groll necklaces and unnatural seeds is much faster if you have a Reforged character. You'll get 5% more raw gold, your runs will be faster in general since you can start them from pick and square and you don't have to run to the gate every time. You should expect more purples if you do full clears. It's pretty much all upsides and no downsides. Interestingly though, since Reforged mode didn't add any new char bosses, and those drop the best possible purples, the high-end items should be relatively unaffected. It will be slightly more common to get a char slaying mod though, since those can be found on any purple. So I just wanted everyone to know I got my char slaying bow while it was still respectable, thank you. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is the warrior elementalist build. That actually has nothing to do with the Reforged changes. I just wanted to make a character like this for the longest time now, and the Reforged mode was just an excuse to go ahead and do it, so I will just include my thoughts about it in this video. The concept is very straightforward. Firestorm is the most powerful skill in Presearing by far, it deals the most damage, it has AoE, and monsters in Presearing don't scatter from AoE, so they just fall over. Firestorm is an elementalist skill though, and elementalists do really well for themselves, but they are pretty squishy. So what if we pick the tankiest profession, the warrior, as the primary for the high armor and really strong insignia, and we pick elementalist as the secondary and base the entire build on fire magic? That won't really work well, right? Turns out, it does. Elementalists get 35 armor from Vanguard Initiate and warriors get 70, which means you pretty much take half the damage an elementalist would. Add on to that the Knight's Insignia and the Absorption Rune to take even less damage from physical attacks, and you can just walk up to 2 groups of char, lure the warriors to the casters and blow them all up. You can do some pretty crazy pulls at the altar too, especially if you have the imp to back you up. If you don't have an imp or any consumables, it's pretty tricky to pull it off, but it's possible, and the feeling of just tanking the entire altar at once is pretty crazy. I wouldn't recommend it on a survivor character though. So the question is Warrior Elementalist just straight up better than an Elementalist primary? And no, I wouldn't say so. It's really fun, it lets you do some crazy stuff, but the obvious downside is the low energy and energy regeneration. Glyph of Lesser Energy helps, but Warrior Elementalist runs out of steam pretty quickly, and if you want to efficiently clear the Northlands, you will get bottlenecked by it pretty often. Both low energy and also the 30-second Firestorm cooldown. There are some things you can do to alleviate these issues, like wielding a staff for the first Firestorm cast, then swapping into an axe and shield, or using consumables for more energy. I would have to play this character for a bit longer to get a feel for those things and to get better at it, which is why this is not a guide, just some first impressions. And as for my first impressions, I like it. I heard for a long time that Warrior Elementalist is really strong, and I definitely agree. And even though this is not a guide, if you wanted to make a warrior ele of your own, here's what I did. For your weapon, just use the highest damage axe you can get and the bandit ride shield. There are better shields out there, but they are very rare and very expensive, so I assume if you have one, you already knew that. For the attributes, max your fire magic, then axe mastery, and put all the remaining points into tactics for the healing signet. And as for your runes and insignia, go with 5 Knights insignia for the reduced physical damage, a rune of minor absorption for even further reduced physical damage, axe mastery in your helmet since warrior primary can't use the fire magic rune and that's our second best choice, a rune of minor vigor for the 30 health, and the 2 remaining runes are up to you. I use attunement and tactics, but Vitae would be good as well. And that's it! That's the Reforged Northlands changes and first thoughts about a build I wanted to make for the longest time. Now I'm gonna go back to playing my main, and I already know Northlands will feel so empty after playing this, but I loved that place for so many years, I'm gonna continue enjoying it even without all the bells and whistles. With that being said, I hope you're enjoying the new changes, good luck with your purples, and of course, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, hope you'll have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Goodbye.